Hello there. My name's Mary, and I'm the Director of Youth Services at the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. You might recognize our chipmunks from our library website, or you might recognize the elephant behind me from our programming area. Well, we're sorry that we're unable to have you here at the library with us, but we are enjoying going online and reading stories and doing story times. Well, I'm here to start our next book. We just finished the stories Julian tells, and this book is about Julian and Huey's dog, Spunky. This is Spunky Tells All. This book is by Anne Cameron. The pictures are by Lauren Castillo. The book is published by Farrar, Straus, Giroux, and it was published in 2011. Yerf. I could tell you everything about the Bates family. Things you'll never hear from anybody else. Then this book could be titled Spunky Tells Everything. But it's not fair for a dog to tell everything about his family. A family deserves at least some privacy and loyalty. So I will only tell all, almost all. The most important thing is this: they love me, and I love them. That's the best thing. Then there's the sad part. The sometimes tragic misunderstandings. My language is dog. They don't understand my language. And so they don't really understand me. Even though I have lived with them for so long, 2 years in human time, which is 14 years in dog time, a very long time, I would say. It's true that I can't speak human, but I understand it. They've taught me sit and stay, come, shake hands, good dog, also bad dog. Besides those words, from listening carefully, I have learned almost all the rest. Even words they say only to each other. Although I prefer my own dog names for some things, I know their language. But have they learned one word in dog? No. Have they learned any dog customs? Very few. Yes, they feed me, and yes, they love me, but no, they don't understand me. Only my boy, Huey, understands me. We're so close that sometimes I can read his thoughts, even though he doesn't think in dog. But there have been times when even Huey completely misunderstood me, as he did after I chased squirrels. Squirrel chasing is an ancient dog custom I have since renounced. For a dog, giving up any dog custom's hard. Quitting squirrel chasing was very painful for me. The day I gave it up, I grieved. That evening, the Bates family sat around their food board eating hot dogs, a human food name I don't approve of. Julian, Huey's big brother, was talking about me. So, he said, there we were in the park with Spunky going top speed after that squirrel, his legs churning up the grass, and he and the squirrel both headed straight for the river. At the last possible second, that squirrel swerved. But Spunky, he went flying over the bank and hit the river like a rock. Kerplash! And he came out, Huey said, looking so cold and so wet and so funny. Whee! Mr. Bates said, slapping his knee. I sure wish I'd seen that. They all started chuckling about my mishap in the river. I did not appreciate it. I sat up tall. I gave them a talk, the best talk I ever gave in my life. I said, listen, I am a dog. I will always be a dog. So don't laugh. You, Mr. Bates, Mrs. Bates, Julian, and Huey, you are humans and will always be who you are too. Sometimes other humans will laugh at you. That, I have noticed, is one thing humans do. They laugh at each other. But a dog will never laugh at a human for being human. That's why you love us. That's why you trust us. That's why you call us man's best friend. Still, when we behave like dogs because we are dogs and cannot help being dogs, you laugh. Is that fair? That was the end of my speech. I put a lot of question marks on the last word with both my ears and my tail. They only understood the question marks. Spunky's very talkative tonight, Mrs. Bates said, as if he's asking us something. Maybe he wants to go out, Huey said. Maybe he wants a bone, Julian said. It might have something to do with the way that squirrel humiliated him down by the river, Mr. Bates said. I didn't know the word humiliated. It had a terrible sound to it. The sound you would hear from a snake's tongue if it flicked you inside your nose and you couldn't stop it. Or from a human throwing a whole pan of water on your head, humiliating you for a joke. I was not humiliated, I told them. Huey bent down and rubbed my neck. Spunky saying "yerf" so much, I'm afraid he'll get a sore throat. From my whole speech, the greatest I ever made in my life, they didn't even understand the question marks. All they heard was "yerf." That's how humans are. Even a wonderful family like the Bates family. They can't help it, and I forgive them. My age. The Bateses think I'm a young dog, but they don't really know. I came to them without a birth certificate or any papers whatsoever. Yes, I arrived at the Bates home as poor as a dog can be, just looking for a place to belong. The good thing is, they don't care. I never once heard them say, if only he'd been a Pomeranian, or purebred's better, or you can't trust dogs without papers. They love me for who I am. Because of that, even though I sometimes complain about them, I think they're the greatest and most wonderful family in the world. And I love them with all my heart. But I do think about the dignity of age, the dignity of my age. I am 5 years old. That may not seem very old to you, but if you were a dog, you would know the math by heart. 5 human years equals 35 dog years. In dog terms, I'm 35 years old. I am older than Mr. Bates. I'm older than Mrs. Bates. I live in their house. They feed me. I do what they say, mostly. But I know very well from what their human adult friends call them that they have first names. From now on, I've decided to think of them as Ralph and Michelle, because they're younger than I am. That, I believe, will help me to see us as equals. Huey knows. Every dog needs a boy or a girl. Huey is my boy, and I love him. I protect him. I think about him even in my dreams. I used to believe he had a special understanding of life, that like me, he knew the truth. The deep meaning of life comes from smells. I overheard his silent thoughts, often the same ones. Julian knows, Mom knows, or Dad knows. I thought, my boy truly understands the world. He understands how much smell matters. And that made me very happy. But I felt bad for him because I never once heard him say, Huey knows. Huey knows is what he should have been saying most often. But he never did. I thought it was because in the Bates family, he's the youngest. Being the youngest, he always thought everybody else had a better nose than he did, instead of realizing his nose was just fine, even if a little bit different from somebody else's. That's what I supposed. I thought I was understanding human as usual. Later, I realized that I was misunderstanding it. Huey was really thinking, Julian knows. Mom knows. Dad knows. He didn't have a clue about noses. He still doesn't. One day I'll find a way to teach him. Spunky smells all. That's what I really should have called this book, because it's true. I have an excellent nose. There's never been a smell that escaped me. When I say I know the Bates family, I mean I really know them. I know their smells. Julian smells of broccoli. That's not because he eats it. It's because he hides it in his pockets when Michelle serves it for dinner. It goes through his pants pockets onto his skin. And there it is, even after baths, which he takes no more often than he has to. He always has a special bitter green scent of broccoli. Humans don't notice, but I can smell Julian coming when he's a mile away. I can smell Huey coming from 2 miles away. He smells chocolate. He likes to cook, and Michelle has taught him how to make brownies. He makes them at least twice a week. Humans can't smell Huey's chocolate smell, I guess, but I can. If he goes somewhere without me, the chocolate smell of him coming home is the smell of happiness. Michelle smells of ginger and lemon because of certain things she cooks. I like to lick her because of that, but usually she won't let me. She says I have dog breath. There's nothing the matter with that. However, you have to get humans and train them young for them ever to appreciate dog breath. If you don't get a human trained early, he or she will never learn to like it. Luckily, I trained Huey when he was still young, and he does like it. Ralph smells of cars because he fixes them. Car is a very exciting smell. It reminds me of riding in the family's car and sticking my head out the window and feeling the wind lift my ears and whirl around in my open mouth, taking my scent down the highway so thousands of noses can enjoy it. From that same fragrant wind, I get knowledge of strangers I'll never meet, scents that feather their way into my nose and flutter onto my dancing brain. Smell music, that's what it's like. One happy, fragrant afternoon, Michelle and I were in the eating room together. She was cooking and listening to music and had a big wooden spoon in her hand. She started stirring the air in the eating room with big loops of the spoon until she must have had it mixed enough, because she dropped the spoon and took me by my front paws and danced with me all around the room. Oh, Spunky, I love this melody, she said. So, of course, I thought she was fully living it, the whirl of it, the swirl of it, the joyous chocolate and ginger and lemon and broccoli and car smell she had mixed up so well. Later, I realized she wasn't living it, not even partially. In fact, Michelle is mostly smell deaf. That day, she was only in love with sound. She doesn't even know the word smelody. It was an altogether different word that she was saying. She knows nothing about smellody. I'm very sorry for humans, really. Not only because they cannot speak dog. Even worse, they have such big noses and yet get such little use out of them. Why? What really is the point? You will say, who is Spunky to question the way the universe is arranged? Who is Spunky to criticize? I don't criticize. I don't. I just wonder. I humbly contemplate. I reflect. Sometimes I ask my departed ancestors about this, trying to reach their sky spirits with these questions. Why are humans and dogs so different? Why are things as they are? So far, I have received no answers. So we're going to stop our story there. We'll continue again tomorrow. This is Spunky Tells All by Anne Cameron. The book is illustrated by Lauren Castillo. It was published by Farrar, Straus, Giroux in 2011. So my name is Mary. I'm the Director of Youth Services at the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. And I'm glad you were able to join us today. And please, come back tomorrow when we'll keep reading Spunky Tells All. Until then, bye-bye.